morning. Welcome to the Alpha Female Lounge in Asake Online. My name is Pamela Mpofu and I am your host. Over the past weekend, there's a video that went viral on social media of some young teenage girls who are pregnant. And this caused a bit of a frenzy and there was a bit of mixed emotions about it. Today, joining me via a Zoom call is Thembelihle Ndlovu. She's the founder of Thembelihle Trust Fund and Genesis Janitorial Services. We are going to be talking about child pregnancies, as well as the work that she does with her organization, what inspired her to start her own organization, as well as her cleaning services company. Thembi, welcome to the Alpha Female Lounge.
Thank you for having me.
We are very happy that you made it and you took time off your busy schedule to join us.
Thank you.
Okay, so Thembi, when you saw that video, what were your first thoughts as a young woman?
Well, being a young mom and a young woman at the same time and seeing that video, it really disturbed me because I realized that those ladies are still too young to be moms or to be pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So it really disturbed me emotionally.
And then that clip obviously brought about mixed emotions, people trying to throw the blame as to maybe the men are to blame or the young women as well are to blame. What's your take on that?
I wouldn't blame anyone. I can't really point my fingers and say I'm blaming the guys or I'm blaming the ladies, because I think we should just put the blame on our education system. And I'm sorry to say, I think we should also blame our governance, the government, in the sense that when I'm saying education system, I realize that we don't really give enough information to the youngsters. You know, when I was reading the news earlier today, I realized that I came across this girl. Her name is Panashe and she's 17. And she was asked, Kuti, how come you're pregnant at this young age? She said, I didn't know that I can fall pregnant by having sex once. So I feel like we don't give enough education to our little ones. We just tell them that once you have sex, you get pregnant. We don't tell them how the process goes. Like, for instance, these young girls, they come from poor backgrounds. Most of them, they are from poor backgrounds, from Emakaya, and they are not exposed to so much as we are. They are not as advantaged as we are. So Toluguti, they were walking on the road and they meet this young man and they are promised heaven and earth. And at that age, between ages of 15 and 19, because that video comprises of young girls aged between 15 and 19, that's the most informative stage of their life. And I feel like they didn't get enough information. They were just told there is sex, there is HIV, there is pregnancy. They just didn't know how it goes about. That's why they then gave in. So I don't blame them. And when it comes to guys, I feel like nowadays sex is expensive here in town, you know.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say sex is expensive. So now men, they tend to younger girls. You find that those 16-year-olds are being impregnated by guys aged 30s, 25 and above. Why? Because for a 25-year-old to come to me, I'm 24, I'm a girl in Harare. If he comes to me, I'll ask him where his car is, how much he's making in a month, you know. So they now go to the younger generation. They don't really ask for much. They just want attention and a little goodies, pads, biscuits, things like that. You understand? So I would highly blame the government in the fact that they are not giving us platforms, especially young girls, you know. If only we could provide equality amongst all of us and reach even emakhoneni, like emakhaya, emaphandleni, endaweni ezinjalo nje. If we can get a sponsorship or if we can get support from the government as a mom, NGOs are owned by young women as well. If they can help us reach in those areas, because right now it's easy for me to go to a school nearby in Harare because I'm able to go there by my own. But to reach out to Echolocho, it needs funding and I can't. So that means they are exposed.
Yeah. Okay, and then masasi singakhangela emphakathini, right? Sikhangele mostly because you mentioned that most of these girls basemaphandleni, basemakhaya, and there's no proper access to information, right? So normal we find 15-year-olds, 14, 16-year-olds pregnant, to the fact that it doesn't even surprise people anymore. What do you think this reflects about society, especially in the Matabeleland provinces, Mat South and Mat North?
I wouldn't say into SCJ because I was pregnant at 23 and my gynae was shocked. She said, "You are too young to be pregnant." Mm-hmm. So now that I think our society seems, I don't know how to put it, like what and kuyasehlisa, like sokusehlisa isithunzi in a way ukuthi uzachaya umntwana. Sekule mthetho yafakwayo ukuthi umntwana akachaywa, umntwana they are allowed to do what they want, what makes them happy. So I think as umphakathi kuyasehlisa isithunzi kakhulu because umuntu angeke umtshele okwenza lezi nsuku. Umntwana le 15 years mamtshela ukuthi condomize, amtshela ukuthi kuyam-affect. So they do as they please. So I don't really have much to say about that. Like on a daily basis.
Okay, so earlier you said that you don't particularly place the blame on anyone, but you feel like government still has room for them to improve when it comes to proper information dissemination. Where would you like to see improvement, particularly in our system?
I will target schools. I think that's where most young children go to. I would like for, if the government can help us with proper funding to go to iskol esemakaya or to less privileged communities, if the government can help us, ukuthi sifike endaweni ezinjalo, esikolo sifake ama-computers. Mina, I did my schooling at Collinborn High before I moved to Bulawayo. We had computers for the first time in 2011. And that's a developed area. Now I'm thinking of ezinye ezingani zisemuva kancane. But all my computers, they don't have access to the internet. If the government ingasincedisa in terms of good network provision, computers, access to information. They don't have information. I believe that when you have enough information, you make sound decisions. So if the government can help us in the educational sector and if abantu bengazuza imisebenzi, because at 19, at 16 umntwana eqeda form 4 and you find ukuthi they didn't do well, so they won't be having anything to do. They can't be hired anyway because they don't have 5 O levels. So they will then use, isikhathi sabo with men, with boys, and fall pregnant. So I think if the government can help us provide jobs for these younger girls, that would be good.
Okay. And then do you feel like with our legal system, do we have enough laws that are protecting these young girls who are vulnerable? Because we understand that most of them, they're not doing this because it's fun. Some of them are pushed because of poverty. But then do you feel like our legal system is doing enough to protect these girls?
No. No, in the sense that I was in South Africa last month. I'll give an example with South Africa.
Yes.
I realized that, we do things differently. Mm-hmm. In South Africa, if you fall pregnant and you don't have enough money, you can earn what is called a grant. Some people, they say, abantu be and all that, but I feel like it's a good gesture ukuthi uncedise omunye umuntu uyakhona ukuthi emithe kube a mistake, or like you are saying ukuthi sometimes it's poverty. If umntana lwana uyenzile mistake, yes, she fell pregnant, if the government is step in and help financially ukuthi umntana lo, okay, you made a mistake at 16, but that's not the end of the world, we still want you to pursue ama-dreams akho. I feel like eZimbabwe asinikezi abantwana that ukuthi, you know what, it's fine, you fell pregnant, but as the government ukuthi lawe mntwana oyinkazana ngiqhubeke, like, to keep your dream alive, I have to take you back to school. We don't do that, So abantwana, they are deprived from their education rights. Ungahamba esikole, like when you're pregnant, you go to school, people laugh at you, and my teachers sometimes they will be like, so I feel like we are not getting, legally, we don't really have rules and laws that really make abantu ukuthi bahloniphe and best treated right. Abantu bengabotshwa, let's say umntwana urechiwe or child marriage, sometimes mawusuthi uyababophisa abantu uyathola ukuthi kuyathiwa hey, i-church yangikhona, they are dangerous, you can't report them, sometimes isisu sifihlwe, so
we still have a long way to go before we get to the part where young girls are really protected. That's what you're saying. Yes,
we have a very long way to go.
All right, if you're just tuning in, this is the Alpha Female Lounge in Asake Online, and we're talking about, we've been talking about child pregnancies and the video that was going viral over the past weekend of some young girls who are pregnant, most of them at 16, now have about 2 babies, and we're talking to Thembelihle Ndlovu, the founder of Thembelihle Trust Fund and Genesis Janitorial Services. We're now going to get more into the work that she does as Thembelihle Trust Fund and what inspired her as a young woman to start this organization. Okay, Thembi, so being a young woman, you most of your, after what should I say, how do I put it, you were mostly in Bulawayo, and you saw the struggles that young women go through. What in particular made you want to be an activist, to champion the rights of young women and boys as well, because you work with young women and you also work with elderly women? What motivated you to start the Thembelihle Trust Fund?
Okay, basically the people in my community, they inspired me to want to do more. But at that time, I didn't really have much. I wasn't working. So, mawuphuma phandle uhlangane lo mntwana. I mean, I did my Form 4 in 2015. So that was the time of Mavuzo patches. I don't know if you can relate. So
yes, I remember very well.
Yeah. So, I would say umntwana ole potential, a very smart kid. A loser, I throw away in future just because of my boyfriend conductor wamchova, I get free rides. So those are things that really inspired to be like, no, Thembi, rise up, speak for those children. I remember I was called names, Angela Styler, yeah, Wanjanjan, but I knew what I wanted to achieve. So then after school, I did home-based care. That was the first course I ever did. So when I did it, we more of to pass time because of Saslindama results. I then got to interact more with the elderly. I saw the need as well, which I know, man. Yes, they've lived their life, but they still life after 60. They have to be attended to. They need attention. They need a massage, and things like that. Then I decided, since I don't have much money to help, let me help them socially, just like how I was helping Amankasan. Yeah, so it's basically my community. The inspiration came from Ngulumane 12, Emma 15.
I'm glad. I'm sure by that time when they hear themselves being mentioned, they were the inspiration behind such a beautiful cause. So now let's take you to the experiences that you've had, because you're saying you drew inspiration from your neighborhood in Kuluman. What is your experience and from working with young women? What would you say is the part where we need to bridge the gap between young women where we are right now and where we wish to see ourselves at?
I can safely say with working with young girls, it's not easy. It's not easy because the girls that I'm dealing with are aged between 15 and 19, then the elderly. So I will talk about Lababale 15 and 19, between 15 and 19. This is a stage, Abazos are too much information. And this is the stage they go through a lot of changes, like physically, you know. So you find which I have, there is need here. So I've been trying to talk to this girl and so kunzima ukuthi uze umthathe umuntu from like asithi umuntu uthanda impilo a fast life and then ngimtshela mina talk about our age difference, it's 4 years, it's 5 years, they'll be like, what can you tell me? So that's the challenge that I have mostly with younger girls, because sometimes they'll be like, I still have time, I'm a girl, I can always get married to a richer person, I can always, you know, I have someone who succeeded at 30, so why should I take my studies seriously when I can always do it later? So that's the problem. Procrastination from the younger generation is what has really affected me.
So you just mentioned a very interesting thing. The young girls we have now, they will tell you, I can always get married to someone richer. It also shows that poverty, once again, is showing it's the push factor for most of these things. How do you think we can empower young girls, which when they're 14, 15, they're empowered to know that they can do things themselves, in situations that need them to get married to richer people in future?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So I have with me some drafted income generating projects that I have that I'm waiting. When I come to Blawayo, I will then go to a few chosen schools to talk to my little sisters, our little sisters there about. I think, you know, in schools we are taught other things, but we are not really taught ngempilo in general, you know. And I'm one person who has struggled with finances. You know, but well, now I'm better. So I think with this income generating project, when we go to high schools, you know, we are targeting about 13 to 19 years. We'll sponsor them with the capital. Then we'll tell them in every 3 months we'll be coming to check if we can teach amankazana independence financially. I think that's one thing, that's one key thing as I even as early 18 years, when a blesser comes by, she'll be like, there's nothing new that this man can offer me that I can't, you know, do on my own. So yeah, that's what I have so far.
Okay, so speaking of independence, you started your own company, Genesis Janitorial Services. For you, what was the push factor? I would say in our economy, obviously it's not conducive. It's difficult to start businesses and keep them alive. What was the motivation for you as a young woman growing up in Bulawayo to start your own business?
Yeah, well, things were hard. I remember that year I was doing my attachments, and things started going up. That was the moment when we're changing from our previous regime to the new Zimbabwe when our current president came in. I remember taxes went up and Mnabengadaga too at the time, you know, from to town, then from town to the hospital where I used to work at. So when you are volunteering, you know, you'd be asking mommy, can I have transport money? She'll tell you, hey, once a month. Until now, embarrassed because, you know, you are in a white uniform and you are not getting enough money. Now you are getting RTGS, and RTGS, it wasn't much because I remember at the time, abantu pharmacies, shops, they were demanding United States dollars and rent, imali ebambekayo, you know. So it really affected me in a way of which I had no starting point, which is of Adelanga. So when I was sitting this one time, I was like, what can I do? You know, I'm young at poly, I'm young at university. I don't have anything to show up for, and I love my nursing career. I love my nursing job. How best can I help my patients? Because, you know, when you're working at a public sector, you fall in love with your patients. And I could see my patients like suffering food-wise. We're not getting enough. You know, even medically, our pharmacies, they now wanted in United States dollar, but we only had RTG. So I was like, God, I need an idea, you know. So I remember I took my domestos and the bucket and the mop. I went to a town, Munandi Cafe. I don't know if you know it.
Yes, I do.
Yes, at Haran and Sly. I remember I offered my services there. And I cleaned. I actually enjoyed cleaning. And I realized, good to know, I can actually make money out of this. So that's when I started like advertising and cleaning for people as in Limi. Then God blessed me. This one time I met it with this lady, Caroline Mukuli. She had a cleaning company at the time, and she said, I want you to be my sales marketing person. So I just loved the freedom that she gave me, because she just gave me the keys to her office, the machinery. I managed everything. From there, I started working with bigger brands. I started working with Net1. I was cleaning at Net1 building, Edgar's HQ by, is it Tepo there, and Astra House. So then with the lady we had, now he had my caps because she wasn't paying me well. I remember I went for 3 months without getting paid, you know, and that was towards my graduation. I needed graduation fee and all that. So I decided to break away. Then when I broke away, that's when the inspiration came. But you know what? I can actually register my own thing and be independent. It doesn't matter if I'm taking my whole salary or my whole money to eat. And at that time, I remember when I stopped working, that's when I started dating. And and I had a few savings from the guy I was seeing at the time. So the little money that he sent from time to time, I saved it. I remember telling my friend, Bestie, I now want to register a company. She laughed about it. And she's like, girl, you are too young to register a company. I was 21. Yes. Yeah, I was 21, 22. She's like, you're too young. Why don't you wait to get married and then you start up a company with your husband? Why don't you join Avon? I'm like, Avon, I don't have market for it. I mean, I'm dealing with the elderly. I'm dealing with people who are not working at the same time. So I need a sponsor who will sponsor my charity. Let me register this company. Then she was like, okay, girl, I can't stand in your way. Go on. So I registered the company, and it's been trading since that was 2019 up to date.
And for you as a young, what has owning your own business taught you as a young woman in like this side of the country?
It's liberating, you know. It's nice to own something of your own as a woman, you know. In business, you always have ups and downs. There are days when you hit your lowest, and when you rise, you can actually, you know, I think it's liberating. I'm loving the process. I'm learning each day, and I just love the fake equity. When they say CEOs, I stand up, even when I'm not making that much. So it's really nice to run a company of your own.
Which is really,
yes.
Okay, then go on.
Come to think of it, it's not even expensive to register your company, and it doesn't matter how old you are. You can register one at 16. You can register either a PPC. A PPC goes for $60, and there's something for a lifetime. You can register a private limited for $110 or $100, and you can do anything, your boutiques, whatever that you want to do under that private limited. It's not expensive.
some pretty good information that you're giving to our viewers there. Thank you so much, Timmy. And before we wrap up the program, what would you like to say to some other young women out there who are watching? And they're thinking, well, I don't have that much knowledge as she does. What would you like to say to them?
Okay, one thing I'd like to say to the younger generation is love yourself. Love yourself enough that you don't just throw yourself away to anybody, you know. There's this other saying that I like that says, not all that glitters is gold. You know, people can come to you and say, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, but there's a price for it. So don't lose yourself in trying to become someone that you're not. Start where you are. You don't have to earn a degree first so that you can now start something. You can start by sweeping next door, you know. A word of mouth is one advertising. That's one good way of advertising. Uyaklinela umuntu omhlakulele engadini, especially abantu bemakhaya. Uyahlakulela umuntu engadini. Uzokubonga ngenkukhu, akubonge ngegokokhu lo mumpu or ngempuphu. Ngizakhuluma ngesintu because I've been in rural areas. Uzakubonga ngegokokho lempuphu. Thatha lelo gokokho guys, amakuyikuthi kulempuphu kuphela endlini. Dlani isitshwala nkazana. Pizza ikwenzela lutho. Dlani isitshwala until you are able to afford a pizza. Yeah, that's what I will say to the younger generation. Start where you are.
That is really cool. And I think you've given some really great insight on the show, because you've used personal experience to reach to all the different viewers that we have. Of course, we have urban and rural viewers. Thank you so much, Tammy, for coming on to the show today to touch a bit on the topic at hand. And we wish you nothing but the very best in both your charity work as well as your business, Genesis Janitorial Services. You can also get in touch with us on our social media platforms at SiteZW on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as on YouTube. If you've missed some of the shows of the Alpha Female Lounge, you can catch up there, as well as other programs that we have. Tembi, thank you once again for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You have been tuning into the Alpha Female Lounge and Nasake Online. My name is Pamela Mpofu and I'm your host. From me, the crew behind the scenes, we will see you next week. Goodbye.